Hello and welcome to 1 to 100, a podcast that takes you inside the most promising hypergrowth startups in a conversation with the founders themselves at the helm. Our goal is to give you the inside story alongside empirical analysis of a notable tech company that you might want to join. I'm your host, Usman, the author of the Why You Should Join newsletter. This week's 1 to 100 is all about Braintrust. So we're stepping back into the studio for a second time because there's actually a very exciting update with Braintrust, which is a new fundraising round, which we wanted Ankur to talk all about and wanted the audience to get a little bit of a sneak peek into before everyone else. So Ankur, it'd be great if you could share all the details about this new fundraising round and what is the roadmap with this new capital.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. We're really excited to share that we raised a Series A led by Andreessen Horowitz. So Martin is leading the round and joining our board. And it's not a small round. We raised $36 million, which brings our total capital raised to $45 million. And, you know, it's one, we're just super excited. We're huge fans of Martin and a16z and like really, really excited about how they've partnered with companies like Databricks and others to build, really lasting enterprise businesses. But, it's kind of interesting. You asked a little bit about how we plan to spend the money. We've actually barely spent our seed round. I think I was talking to Sam the other day, and I think we actually haven't spent our pre-seed round. We've been very capital efficient so far. There's a number of reasons for that. One of which is actually that we have this really flexible deployment model for customers, which makes it easy for them to deploy in their own cloud environment. But, I think with that said, we've just experienced insane growth over the last year. We actually, today that we're recording is our 1-year birthday as a company. And in that year, we've had the opportunity to work with like pretty much all of the really great companies that are building in AI. Some that I can't talk about, but some, that I can, like companies like Notion, Airtable, Instacart, Zapier, Coda, Retool, many others, and Vercel. And so I think, the funding round is really a reflection of the traction that we have and the opportunity that we and our investors see in the market ahead. And I would kind of think of it from two perspectives. One perspective is on the roadmap side, we have a pretty clear and pretty aggressive roadmap. I would say that, Braintrust started out and many people still think of us as a tool for doing evals. And honestly, I would say we are really like the premier tool for doing evals at this point. The product is really mature and so on. But what's happened over the past several months is we've kind of rounded out our product into more of a end-to-end developer platform for people who are building AI products and they just want their products to systematically get better and be able to iterate on them effectively. And that includes really amazing logging capabilities, the ability to take logs and create really nice data sets out of them, the ability to explore prompts on these logs and data sets in our playground. Now you can actually run full-blown evals from the playground. You can write like TypeScript code and Python code in the playground, and we sandbox it and do all this like insane stuff to make it secure and really, really fast. So the product has really evolved into this end-to-end developer platform. And I think, the funding, momentum, and everything will really help us execute on this roadmap and making Braintrust kind of a broader solution for people who are building in AI. And then the other piece of it is the go-to-market side. So we just hired some of our first folks on the sales team. We just hired our first marketing person. We've literally done zero marketing to date. It's been entirely word of mouth. And so we're starting to figure out a more sophisticated go-to-market. And obviously the support from a16z, as well as our existing investors, Greylock, Elad, Basecase, will really help us there.
Yeah, and we touched upon this briefly at the end of our initial recording, but you just mentioned right now too that you guys haven't even touched your money from pre-seed at this point. So obviously you've raised more and you have a chest full of money that you can deploy. I'm assuming a lot will probably go to hiring, maybe also a nice office and some other sweet, nice toys there. But when it comes to hiring, what is the big push? Is it getting more engineers and building out a more expansive suite? Or is it hiring a lot more go-to-market people like you mentioned? Who in the audience needs to visit Braintrust careers page right now and apply?
So we actually have an office, and it's interesting. The last time I looked for an office, if we got our current office, it would probably cost 3 times as much per month as it currently does. But it's really nice and not very expensive. So if you
Maybe no new office then.
yeah, I think we're good for a little bit, but so that's just been kind of fun, or really refreshing compared to what it used to be. In terms of hiring, I think engineering is our number one priority, and there's really two types of human beings that we jive really well with on the engineering side. The first type, and this is my personal background, is systems people. These are people who work on things like compilers, databases, operating systems. You really care about concurrency. 1 millisecond of latency like pisses you off, and you just can't sleep at night until you figure out, how to erase it. And so that's one type of person. And you can almost think of the challenge that we have. There's a few, but like probably the most interesting is, from a technical standpoint, we're essentially building like the same technology as an observability platform, but in LLM land, instead of looking at numeric metrics and time series, what people really care about is text, and the volume is just insane. And so you can almost think of us as building like a semi-structured observability database, but for text. And so that's the really big focus there. And then the other type of person who works really well at Braintrust are people who are just obsessive about building good user experience and developer experience for people that spend sometimes like 4 hours or more per day in our product. These tend to be people who are engineers who have some interest in design, or design engineers, basically people who are just obsessive about user experience and developer experience. So if you're one of those two types of people, you know, Braintrust could be a really great place for you.
You just mentioned that you haven't even touched your pre-seed money at this point. Clearly a very efficient team, and that's awesome. But I guess that makes me wonder, why even raise more money? I mean, you guys just raised another huge round here. Why so?
Well, first of all, we have spent some money, but we haven't finished spending our pre-seed money. So that's just to just to clarify. I think this is the third time I've worked on a startup, and what's interesting is that most companies burn a lot of capital to find product market fit, and sometimes they just burn all their capital trying to find product market fit. But actually, it's super, super, super important to find and to some extent execute on early product market fit with very limited resources. And the reason is it forces you to prioritize like crazy. And that's why, you end up building products, or that's how you kind of are forced to build products that are inherently simple. I think we talk to a lot of customers, and we're not the only ones in the space that we're in. Probably the most consistent positive feedback that we hear from customers is that our product is insanely simple and clean and easy to use. I think the only reason we are able to do that is the discipline with having a very small number of people that work very closely together and craft a really nice product. I think there's lots and lots of examples of products like that. Just another like popular one that we derive some inspiration from is Linear, and they often talk about how they're a really small team who's done, a really effective job. Now, translating that to capital, I think there's a few different things. The first is that every company is super hard to build, and I think it requires building a coalition of people that are on your side and collaborating closely with you. And I just can't speak highly enough about Martine and the team at a16z. I met Martine a little over a year ago, and we just kind of like were continuously chatting. And it was very obvious, certainly to me, I think to him as well, that we just needed to work together. And so part of it is just bringing on, what I think is one of, if not the best venture firms out there, and one of, if not the best partners in infrastructure out there. And I feel like across Elad and Sam and Martine, I couldn't imagine a better group of people to build a company with. And then part of it is once you do find product market fit like we have, you actually do need to adjust how you think about scaling and spending. We're not perfect. We're going to run experiments that fail. And on the go-to-market side, running those experiments often requires spending capital too. And so I think, I don't think we're going to go nuts. I think hopefully we can stay scrappy culturally for forever. But there are these kind of step function changes as companies evolve. And, I think we're at such an inflection point. And so it's good to be, well capitalized going into it.
Absolutely. Well, Ankur, thank you for taking the time. for a second time now. We appreciate it. And a huge congratulations on the fundraising announcement. That's amazing. And we wish the best for Braintrust.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Our sponsor for today's episode is Carta, the end-to-end accounting platform that's purpose-built to power the strategic impact of the fund CFO. For the first time ever, private fund operators can now leverage their very own bespoke software that's designed from the ground up to bring their whole portfolio together, enabling formations, transactions, and distributions to flow seamlessly and accurately. The end result? A remarkably fast and precise platform that empowers better strategic decision-making and delivers transformational insights on demand, timely K1s, holistic fund performance data, and so much more. Come see the new standard in private fund management at carta.com/investors. That's carta.com/investors. Hey everyone, Eric here. At Turpentine, we're always looking for ways to streamline our work. That's why we use Notion for all our internal documents. It's been a game changer for us, and I want to tell you why. Notion is this amazing all-in-one workspace that combines your notes, docs, and projects. But what's really cool is their new Notion AI. It's like having multiple AI tools built right in. You can search, generate, analyze, and chat, all without leaving Notion. What sets Notion AI apart is how it personalizes responses based on your content. It's not just another generic chatbot. It understands the context of your work. Plus, it can search across thousands of docs in seconds, even connecting to tools like Slack and Google Docs. And get this, Notion is used by over half of the Fortune 500 companies. Teams using it send less emails, cancel more meetings, and save time searching for their work. It's designed to keep everyone on the same page while protecting your privacy. Want to give it a try? Head over to notion.com/upstreampod. That's all lowercase. Notion.com/upstreampod. You can try Notion for free, and when you use our link, you're supporting our show. Give the powerful, easy-to-use Notion AI a shot today at notion.com/upstreampod.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of 1 to 100. Please send it to any talented operators looking to join their next company. Ratings and reviews are extremely helpful for a new podcast, and you can let us know which other companies you'd like us to profile. 1 to 100 is a podcast from the Why You Should Join newsletter and Turpentine, the podcast network behind the Econ 102, Complex Systems with Patrick McKenzie, Turpentine VC, and more shows for experts by experts in tech.